Welcome back to the channel. In this video, I'll be doing a fight prediction for Bellator 198, Fedor versus Mir. And I'll just be doing the co-and main event as a lot of these other fights are seem like just kind of gimme fights almost. Well, like most of these fights on this card, and a lot of these other fights are just fighters who kind of just trying to make their name or trying to just make some cash. So it's like, there's not really too much to predict on this card outside the co-and main event, for me at least. So I'm just going to start with the co-main event. In our co-main event, we have Emmanuel Sanchez versus Sam Cecilia. And Sam Cecilia, you know, was in the UFC for about 2-3 years, maybe more. Solid fighter. Came off the tough season, like the live season with Shane Carwin and Roy Nelson, his coaches, and he was friends and training partners of Michael Chiesa. Still is a friend and training partner of Michael Chiesa. I think he has this pretty much a grappling, like a wrestling background, I believe. So he knows how to defend wrestling well. He has a sprawling brawl. It's like a Chuck Liddell style, almost Chuck Liddell style. Still sprawling brawl, but not Chuck Liddell at least. Not Chuck Liddell-esque, but I think the way he kind of holds his hands is Chuck Liddell-esque, kind of at his hips. He's very good at defending takedowns. He swings a lot of power, but his punches are very telegraphed. It's pretty much he kind of just cocks his punch at his hip and swings. That's his kind of style. So that's kind of his best asset and also his biggest like weakness as far as because he's too predictable as far as his striking goes, and that doesn't bode well for him against top level competition. And then Emmanuel Sanchez has been on the rise. He's been on fire in Bellator for at least 2 or 3 years now. I think he's a pretty young fighter, pretty strong fighter, pretty big for the weight class. He imposes his will on you. He's very aggressive. He might not be the best striker. He might not be the best wrestler, but he's one of those fighters that are very gritty. They be in your face, and they can outstrike even the best striker just by how they pressure you. They make you uncomfortable, and it's constantly in your face, constantly pushing you, constantly imposing their will on you, constantly trying to just rough you up and never really get you a chance to do anything. And eventually, like, they just beat you in a war of attrition and just break you down. And I felt like what Emmanuel Sanchez was doing in this fight. He knows what Sam Cecilia brings to the game. He knows that punch. He knows his wrestling defense and all that stuff. But I feel he'll be perceptive of that. And when Sam Cecilia's loading up, he'll pick his punches. He'll avoid those punches. He'll keep his guards up when needed. Won't leave his chin up for Sam Cecilia to catch him, or back up for Sam Cecilia to really start planting his feet, and constantly keep Sam Cecilia moving or dinking and mixing in. And he'll keep mixing in wrestling and striking, and pretty much imposes will on Sam Cecilia for 3 rounds and win a clear cut 3-round decision. So in this fight, I have Emmanuel Sanchez be a 3-round decision. Then in our main event, we have Fedor Emelianenko versus Frank Mir, a battle of 2 certified MMA Hall of Famers. Fedor Emelianenko was once the baddest man on the planet, this mythical creature in MMA, and Frank Mir was the heavyweight champion of the UFC at one point. So they both have certainly been at the top of the game. In this fight, I feel that Frank Mir has the size. It's not even a feel. He does have the size advantage, but I feel that Fedor has the speed advantage. They both have power, and they both certainly can get hurt. None of them have steel chins. So I kind of give the striking edge to Fedor just off the speed. They both can get hurt, have equal chance of hurting each other, whether they pressing or getting pressure. They both have pretty much the same chance of getting hurt by each other's punches, and the same effect. Neither of these fighters have these iron chins at this point in their career. And at this point, they both are old. Whether who's older or who's not, they both are old and past their prime and past when they were their best. Maybe Fedor even more so because he was at one time the baddest man on the planet. So he certainly has fallen off his grace. Was once this undefeatable fighter. So where they at? They're both coming off losses. Frank Mir is coming off a long suspension. So you don't know who has the confidence or where they are at mentally. But they still are fighting in this fight. So I guess they have enough confidence to come in there and fight. So in this fight, I think grappling, as far as Fedor's past, he never really had a problem with grappling with bigger fighters. So I don't think size is that much of a problem for him. As far as he deals, maybe his size along with technique. And Frank Mir is certainly a technical fighter. He's certainly a bigger fighter as far as in this fight. So I don't really see the grappling exchange going too much to either fighter. If Frank Mir gets on top, he certainly will be, I give him a huge edge. But getting him there, I don't think he'll be able to get Fedor that easily unless maybe he drops Fedor to that point. And if he drops Fedor to that point, I think Frank Mir has the fight just right there. If he drops him, Fedor's rocked, and Frank Mir's on top of you with all that grappling and how dangerous he is. He's pretty much one of the most dangerous grapplers, submission artists in any division, period. Will kick your limb and snap it. So this guy is dangerous, and especially if you're rocked. And the same for Fedor, you could say. If he rocks Frank Mir, I think this fight is over. So it's pretty much who can hurt the other fighter more first will win this fight, in my opinion, or who can hurt the fighter to the point where they would be able to seize the opportunity and finish. And they both are very good at finishing fights once they have somebody hurt. I don't think at any point any of these fighters have ever lost a fight after they had an opponent hurt. So they just, once they have you hurt, it's pretty much they have like a near 100% finish ratio once they have you hurt, whether it be by submission or knockout. And I kind of see like that's kind of why I'm giving this edge to Fedor. Emelianenko is. He is a faster fighter. I think his striking, even though their striking is about the same, I feel that Fedor is more confident with his striking. Even though it's unorthodox, it's very technical, very effective, very powerful. He mixes up very well. I think Frank Mir's defense isn't the best, so that speed, that power, that unorthodoxness will allow him to pretty much. I think he'll be able to go behind Frank Mir's guard and hit him behind his guard. He'll find those openings, pick his punches. He certainly has to be kind of cautious to get caught with a counter punch, but Frank Mir has never really been the best counter puncher, so I don't think that's too much of a worry. But he still has to be respectful coming there. I see Fedor being able to pick his punches, be able to handle the exchanges as far as grappling and clinching and the pressure. Frank Mir, who's not necessarily a prolific pressurer, so he won't really be too much of a threat as far as his pressuring goes in his fight. I see Fedor being able to still have his range, still have his distance, still be able to strike without really getting smothered too much. So he'll be able to be comfortable on the feet and not really have his punches being smothered, like I'm saying, like have his striking range smothered, and that will allow him to be able to mix up his striking. And I see that really giving a huge edge to Fedor in that area. I see by the second round a competitive fight up until that point, but I see Fedor eventually finding the opening on Frank Mir and capitalizing, landing a combination or a one shot, hurting Frank Mir, and then following up with some ground and pound and getting a TKO in the second round. So in the main event, I have Fedor Emelianenko via second round TKO stoppage. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe, and come back for more videos. Peace.